When talking about the timeline of the Marvel Universe, how can we forget Kang the Conqueror? Even though he is a supervillain, he is known as the Master of Time for his ability to manipulate time. Even though Kang did not appear in Loki as MCU fans expected, he will be the villain in Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania 2023, played by Jonathan Majors. So, let's dig in for some exciting details about Kang the Conqueror. However, if you are watching this video to know only about Kang, that is not possible. Kang is only one stage in Nathaniel Richards' life. Nathaniel is a time traveler who has lived in different time eras with many alternate versions and different names. So, there are many confusions in Kang's story. Let's learn about all these versions while learning the story of Kang. Kang, or Nathaniel Richards, was born in the 30th century of Earth 6311, one of the most peaceful realities. After centuries of advancement and warfare, peace was brought to the land by a time traveler from Earth 616. That time traveler is Nathaniel Richards, the father of Reed Richards, or Mr. Fantastic, who is considered the smartest man in the Marvel Universe. Because Richards brought peace to this war-torn future, he was known as the legendary benefactor. I know you might be confused because both Kang's and Reed's father's names are Nathaniel Richards. However, it is still doubtful if they both refer to the same person. At the age of 16, Nathaniel's future self, Kang the Conqueror, comes into the past. This resulted in young Nathaniel to try and prevent his eventual transformation into Kang in the future. Attempting to escape his destiny, the teen steals his future self's advanced armor and travels back to Earth 616, hoping that the Avengers will help him stop Kang. Unfortunately, when he seeks the Avengers for assistance, he finds that the Avengers are disbanded. Seeking answers, he finds a list of teenage heroes such as Patriot, Wiccan, and Hulkling, who have been created to protect the world when the Avengers are no longer there. Then he models his armor after the Avenger Iron Man and becomes a superhero by the codename Iron Lad. He forms the next generation of Avengers by assembling his new team, the Young Avengers. Eventually, Kang comes to the past looking for Nathaniel, wanting to return his younger self to his proper place in the timeline. Then the Iron Lad kills the Kang. It results in the destruction caused by the changes in history, forcing Iron Lad to return to his time and undo the damage by becoming Kang. Thereby, he goes to his proper timeline and becomes a villain, called Kid Immortus. It seems in the comics that when he becomes Kid Immortus, he has lost his memory about Iron Lad. Then, Kid Immortus starts to search about Fantastic Four and Doctor Doom. During his research, Nathaniel discovers a time machine and travels back in time to ancient Egypt on Earth 616. With his technology, he conquers Egypt and set himself up as a pharaoh Ramatut. However, the empire of Ramatut collapses with time. Ramatut tried to flee back to his own era, but he was caught in a time storm and was forced to appear in the modern era of Earth 616. But it gives him a chance to encounter his possible ancestor Doctor Doom. Being inspired by Doctor Doom, Nathaniel creates the identity of the Scarlet Centurion. As it was not successful, once again, he became Ramatut. After resuming his Ramatut identity, Nathaniel attempts again to return to his native 30th century. The time storm caused him to overshoot his own era, ending up in the war-torn 40th century. As he saw a war-torn future, Ramatut found it simple to reinvent himself and conquer this era with his technology. Creating the identity of Kang the Conqueror, Nathaniel begins to do it. He first conquers the Earth, then begins conquering the galaxy and taking over entire empires. But even with this, he was not satisfied, and Nathaniel's mind continued to turn back to the modern age and thought to conquer it as well. But in the modern era, there are many heroes, so he couldn't conquer the modern age even if he tried several times. In his native 40th century, the Kang falls in love with Princess Ravonna Renslayer, the daughter of King Corellius from Earth. Due to his love for Ravonna, Kang allowed her father to remain in the rule of his kingdom but instead forced Ravonna to marry him. However, Ravonna refuses to marry Kang. Kang's chief commander sees his love for Ravonna as a weakness and commands Kang's army to kill him. Seeing how Kang tries to protect her, Ravonna starts to love Kang. When the commander shoots Kang with a blast gun, Ravonna saw this and threw herself in the path of the bullet. Ravonna seemingly died in Kang's arm. However, Kang refused to let his love perish and used 40th century science to keep her in a state of suspended animation, not dead but not alive either. Later, Kang engages in another battle with Thor. Kang then attempted to flee in his time machine, and that resulted in creating another divergence of Kang. One Kang ended up in the timeless realm of Limbo, while another ended up back in his native 40th century of Earth 6311. The Kang that ended up in Limbo, or Prime Kang, found the citadel of Immortus. Being unaware that he was a future version of himself, Kang began to study history using his equipment. Coming across the moment when Ravana was about to die, Kang activated a device that plucked Ravana out of the time stream. The Prime Kang forms a council of Kangs in Limbo, consisting of himself and two of his most cunning divergent selves. Seeing their alternates insult their legacy, Prime Kang and another counterpart bring each alternate Kang to Limbo and execute them. The Prime Kang creates robot duplicates of the eliminated Kangs. Then the Prime Kang discovers another Kang with Ravana, and he shoots the remaining two Kangs dead. The Prime Kang was the only one left when Immortus appeared. Immortus revealed he was there manipulating things behind the scene to ensure the path that leads Kang to become Immortus. Immortus then shows Kang the Psyche Globe, which contains the memories of every slain counterpart of Kang. However, when Kang tried to use the Psyche Globe, it bombarded his mind with all the memories all at once, threatening to drive him mad, as Immortus had planned. With his sanity, Kang triggered the timing circuitry in his helmet, creating two necessary divergent to divide the madness between the two. Then the Kang returns back to the 40th century. After some time, we find another Kang in comics called Kang Nebula. Later we learn that it's Ravana who was posing as Kang Nebula. Then they lived together for many years. After convincing his own faults at the age of 60, Kang hands over his empire to Ravana, goes back to ancient Egypt, and starts living as Ramatut. Kang's story is one of the most complicated stories in Marvel Comics. Hope you got an insight into Kang's different versions from this video.